Today, I'm diving into your questions around healthcare marketing. Welcome guys, Uriel Kim here, CEO and founder of Healthpreneurs. We help health professionals and coaches scale their businesses online without the grind. And today I've got 5 questions that have come into our worlds, community members here on YouTube who've been asking me stuff. So I figured, you know what, let me take a couple moments to actually answer you here in video format, because quite honestly, I can't give it justice in the comment thread. The other thing too, guys, is if you notice a lot of my responses in the comments, they're pretty short. I'm not a typer, I'm a talker. So I wanted to give you guys some love. Obviously, I appreciate you guys watching these videos and helping this amazing community grow. So if you're a health professional who wants some really good advice and insights around improving your marketing, your offers, all that kind of stuff, we're gonna dive into that right here. Okay, so the first question here, Shivam TJ295. So the question is, I was missing this kind of information for my business. Thanks a lot. One question, Yuri, what should be the ideal duration of webinar plus how to pitch for booking a call on ads and webinar? All right, so just for context, if you've not seen any of my stuff before, one of the big engines we help our clients install in their businesses, what we call a perfect client pipeline. It's essentially ads to a masterclass or webinar, and then from there, people book or apply to book a call to you. So what should the ideal duration of the webinar be? The ideal duration of the webinar is as long as it needs to be to get the message across. And I've been online since 2005. And back in the day, you'd see a lot of long sales pages. And it's so funny, like, you know, in the last 5, 6, 7 years, a lot of people talk about, oh, like people don't have attention spans. Now with short form content, webinars are dead. Everyone's watching 10-second, 30-second reels. Everything has to be shorter. I think YouTube discredits that whole point. If you look at all the videos on my channel, all the videos on YouTube, minus the shorts, everything's long form, right? So here's the thing is people will watch anything that is a must for them, that they're insanely interested in figuring out. I can't even tell you the hundreds of hours of content I've consumed on YouTube alone. There's so much great stuff on YouTube, let alone all the other coaching programs and trainings I've been a part of. So how long does the ideal duration of the webinar need to be? As long as it needs to be. Now that's not very helpful. So typically for our clients, it's anywhere from about 30 to 60 minutes. Our perfect client pipeline / scaling masterclass webinar is about 55 minutes. And then there's another 15 minutes at the end of video testimonials. That's just us, okay? So how to pitch for booking a call on the ads and the webinar. All right, so this is really important. A lot of what I spend my time with and what our coaches spend their time with our clients is helping them understand what their numbers, so we give them a dashboard to track their critical numbers all the way through their funnel, and looking at where the constraint is. So for instance, if you have people opting in to watch the webinar, but people are not booking a call, where a lot of people initially go is, I gotta change the webinar. And that's the last thing to do. The reality is the first thing to change is your ads, because those are the invitations that bring people into the house party, if you think of it that way. Very seldomly, unless the webinar is atrocious, does it need to be changed. I'll talk about one aspect of the webinar that might need to be adjusted. But the key here is if you're not getting people booking a call with you and they've opted in for something, number one, I'm gonna look up in the funnel, because usually most issues downstream started upstream. So if you're not getting people booking a call with you, it's not like the one step prior to that all the time. It's usually right at the start. So how are you qualifying people in your ad copy or in your messaging in the first place? And I'm not talking being very direct about, this is not for you if you don't have money. This is not for you if you're on disability. There are very nuanced ways of calling to people's self-identity and character in a way that's also Facebook compliant, because the challenge of doing that is that if you run into the personal attribute issue, you'll get shut down on Facebook. What I mean by that is if you say to someone in your ad, tired of struggling with belly fat, that is a personal attribute. You're saying, I know something about you, or I'm making a claim about something about you that's gonna make you feel bad. And you can't do that on Facebook. So how do you tap into people's character traits and self-identity of the types of people you want to attract in ad copy while keeping compliance top of mind? Number one is you don't make it about them, you make it about you or your clients. Most of the clients that I work with understand that building anything great isn't easy. They understand that to build a lasting business takes a bit of time and work. And right now you see a lot of ads from all these gurus who are claiming overnight success, we'll give you 10 clients or you don't pay, and all sorts of nonsense, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. So if I were to put up an ad like that, what that's gonna do is naturally it might convert lower. I might get less people coming into the funnel because most people want the quick fix and the shiny object. But what it does speak to is the right type of person who understands those gimmicks are a joke. So I might have, let's say, a lower volume of leads. I might be paying a little bit more for a lead, but the people who come in have the mindset and they have the understanding that, there are no quick fixes. There are no overnight miracles when it comes to building a business or getting in shape or anything. And so that's how I would weave that type of messaging into the ads so that when they go through the webinar and then the next step is to book a call, they're more primed to be that type of person. Now, in the webinar, there's a very specific process we call the 2 futures. We talk about it in the webinar, and I'm not going to get into the details here, but essentially, here's the secret. Your webinar needs to be more than just content. At the end, as you're moving people into booking a call to you, I think, in my experience, it's very effective, once again, to appeal to self-identity. Are you this type of person or are you this type of person? And when you do that, it's like, well, if you're this type of person and you're already on this trajectory, well, the next logical step is to just book in a call. And on that call, we'll do X, Y, and Z. Now, the key thing here is when you're offering your call, there needs to be a benefit to having the call with you. If they feel like it's a sales pitch in disguise, well, why would people want to book that? So you're going to want to mitigate that and say something like, listen, the reason this call is for free is because number one, we don't know each other and it's simply my way of adding value to you. And we'll start there, right? I don't expect anything in return unless I'm actually adding some value to your life in the first place. Second is I also know that a percentage of people that I do speak with are going to be really blown away by the conversation and the plan we put together and are going to want my help to actually implement it into their life and keep them accountable to those goals. And if that's you, amazing. And if it's not, we'll part as friends, no hard feelings. So you tell them what the benefit of the call. So it can be, it can be an assessment, it can be a consult, it can be assessing blind spots, whatever it is. And then you tell them why it's free. It's free because, well, it's just a good way to start a relationship and be honest with them, right? I understand a percentage of people I speak with are going to want my help, right? So it's actually good business for me to do this, but that's maybe and only if we get there, if we feel we're a mutual fit. But if we're not, I'll let you know likewise, right? So you want to be overt and transparent so you're not bait and switching people, all right? So hopefully that answers your question. There we go. Let's move on. All right, next one here is from your Dr. AI. Yuri, you are a hidden gem, following you when you had 750 subscribers. Cool, man, thank you. One question, if I take my leads to a webinar, how am I gonna make them comfortable for group coaching? All right, so I'm not too sure the logic here in the question, because it doesn't matter if you take them to a webinar and group coaching, they're two completely universe. We're talking about a marketing piece and then a delivery piece. But let's just say that we combine them. So as an example, in our scaling masterclass, if you've watched it, and if you haven't, there's a link below this video somewhere. What I talk about is something called the capacity ceiling, right? So if you're a health professional, you know that you can only work so many hours in a day. And because of that, your income is limited. I call that the capacity ceiling. 10 hours a day, $100 a session. This is how much money you can make, whatever that is. Anything above that is lost revenue, and anything above that is a waiting list of potential clients that you could have otherwise helped, but that's lost business, and they're either suffering because they have to wait, or they're gonna go somewhere else. So I'm selling the power of group coaching by showing the weaknesses in the current model. The whole one-on-one model in the first place is a joke. It's a disaster. It's not scalable. And if it's not scalable, it's not sustainable. So this is part of what I'm selling in the webinar, okay? I want the viewer to buy into the philosophy that if they keep doing the one-on-one, they're only gonna get so far, and they're probably already at that ceiling. So unless they're okay with that, they have to adopt a new belief system, which is what I'm trying to sell them on by introducing the power of group coaching. Well, Yuri, what does that exactly look like? Well, again, I don't need to go into the details of that, but I want to get them into the belief system that it's possible. So what I talk about is, okay, let's say you charge $100 an hour, you work 40 hours a week. The most you can make is $4,000 a week times 4, $16,000 a month, and that's going to be 160 hours of your time. Or you could have a group coaching program you charge $3,000 for, okay? You enroll 10 clients a month, that's $30,000, and you're going to spend a fraction of the time in delivery to those clients. So scenario one, your effective hourly rate's $100. Scenario two, your effective hourly rate is about $750. So you're essentially making, 4 times as much money in half the time. And so that's how I start to sell and really unpack for a healthcare provider why the power of group coaching is so beneficial. Now, for you in the health space, if you're trying to sell your clients on a group versus one-on-one, it's really simple. It's just all positioning. How much research is there out there that shows the power of community versus loneliness and isolation? So if I were a health expert, which obviously I was previously, but if that were my primary business now, I would look at how do I create a compelling argument for viewers to fully buy into the power of a community-based coaching program? Because a lot of people think they need more one-on-one. So I'll give you an example of how we can disarm that in a second. But I would look at stuff like the blue zones. I'd look at research around the fact that, people who live the longest are in communities. And then on the flip side, we know that isolation is probably as bad as smoking. And I would use that research, but in a very simple way for people to understand, to get them to break their belief around the fact that one-on-one is better. Now, there's still that skepticism. Well, like, my situation is different. I want your personal attention on my stuff. And there are certainly ways that you can infuse one-on-one work in your coaching program without it being all one-on-one. But one of the ideas that I would share potentially in the webinar is I would just call out the elephant in the room. So it's like, hey, listen, you might be watching this and saying to yourself, that's great and all, but I want more one-on-one personal attention. Great. Well, let me put it this way. If there was a button on your forehead that I could press and it would instantly get you the outcomes you want, or we could spend an hour together every single week on Zoom and eventually get you there, which would you prefer? And most people would say, I want the button. It's like, great. Well, unfortunately, I'm not a magician and I don't have that power, but what it tells me is that you're more interested about the outcome than how we get you there. Now, it just so happens that with this group model, our clients get the outcome that they want a lot faster, a lot more seamlessly than traditional one-on-one coaching. And so that's how I would position, just really quickly, the difference between one-on-one versus group. It's not about how much time you spend with someone. You want to dissociate your time from the client results. And that's a simple metaphor or analogy we can use to do so. So, hope that helps you out. Your Dr. AI, thank you for the question. Okay, question number 3 from Jeremiah Kim. What are some examples I can post for Facebook/Instagram ads? I know that Meta has a strict policy of sharing transformations online, so what would be some other examples? So, as a health or fitness expert, healthcare provider, you can't use the before and afters in your advertising. Like, as much as it'd be amazing to show, like, here's Jane at 400 pounds and here she is all ripped. You can't do that stuff. So, don't run ads like that, and don't have that stuff on your landing page if your ads are direct in there, because Facebook will see everything before the opt-in. So you can put all those transformations on the back end and send your emails, your webinar, anything post opt-in, but anything public facing that's ungated, it needs to be super clean. So what does that mean? Well, you tell the story. You tell the story of Jane. So, Jane used to weigh 400 pounds and then, now she weighs 150. After struggling with weight for her entire life, she thought it was impossible until ... So you don't use the before and after picture. You might use one picture of Jane, or you can use an AI image if she doesn't want to be shared, and you tell the story of Jane's transformation. Now, the key here is that you're telling a story and you're not making a claim. So watch the difference here. So how Jane went from 400 pounds to 150 while enjoying donuts and red wine, right? Let's just say that was the hook. That's 100% compliant. Okay. Now, if you were to say something like how to go from 400 to 150 pounds while enjoying donuts and red wine, that's a little bit more gray zone, because now I'm basically saying how you can do it. It's a how-to claim. And to make it even worse, how to go from 400 to 150 pounds in just 12 weeks, when you put a result in time frame, you're toast. So the thing with Facebook or Meta is that it needs to be 100% true for 100% of people, 100% of the time. It's like, you basically can't say anything. That's fine, right? It's all good. The easiest way around that is you just share your story or a client's story. Because when you share a client's story, you are making no claims. You're basically sharing their story. And so if the prospect reading this on Facebook or Instagram is seeing that, they are seeing themselves in that story. But you're not saying, this is what's going to happen for you. I'm like, I don't know. This is just what happened to my client. Like, how can you discredit that? This is what happened. And then as you segue into the call to action, you're not going to say, if you too want similar results, then click here. No, because now you start getting into the implication of that story into what it could do for you, or like you could achieve the same result, which is essentially a claim. So if you share a story of yourself or a client, right? Where they were, the struggle, the stuff they tried, then the discovery, which was you, and then here are the results. The segue into the call to action is, if you want to see what Jane did and how my other clients have seen similar results, then click the link below to check this out. Now, if you want to see what they did, notice the difference? As opposed to if you want similar results. If you want to see what they did, all you're saying is, if you want to be a voyeur having a look at what they did, there's no claim, right? Check it out. But if you say something like, if you too want to drop 150 pounds, or if you too want similar results, or if you too are struggling with excess weight, all of that stuff, you start getting into claim world and that's going to get shut down. Okay. So that is how you would share a transformation in the context of an ad on Facebook/Instagram. Cool. Great question. All right, next up, we have Arsh Sharma 7182. Gotta love these usernames. Okay, so please critique this offer. Professional women, we will help you lose 10 to 12 kilograms or more sustainably in the next 16 weeks without doing keto, fasting, counting points, restrictive diets, spending hours in the gym, or excessive exercise through our, whatever their system name is, guaranteed or you don't pay. What changes would you make, if any, to optimize it? Okay, so first and foremost, I'm just gonna say this. Alex Hormozi is a buddy of mine. He's a great dude, but I think the market has gone to shit because of his book, $100 million Offers. Okay? It's a tremendous book, but the problem is that over the past couple of years, everyone is putting offers like this on the marketplace, right? Whether it's on the coaching space.
We'll get you 10 clients in 10 days or you don't pay a single thing. We'll guarantee 90K in 30 days or we'll work with you for free until you do.
It is fucking exhausting. And it is so ubiquitous that it's not even effective anymore, to be honest. All it's doing is increasing the level of skepticism. And I actually think it's creating more problems for the consumer because it's essentially like back in the day when I started online, 2005, in that area, a little bit further in, you started getting this whole acai berry thing, right? Do you remember the acai berry days where it's like free plus shipping offers? Try the acai berries for 14 days. You'll burn fat without doing anything. And in small print, it was like, then you'll be rebuilds in 30 days for whatever it was. And that created a whole issue. And there's like FTC stuff eventually that came out. I see something similar happening now in the marketplace where everyone's making these ridiculous claims. They're not even claims. They're trying to be compelling with offers, which is fine. But here's my take on this. And this is just my philosophy and our approach. I don't think you can make a very compelling offer in a coaching environment because, so for instance, like unless there's a lot of fine prints, right? So you can say stuff like this and then have a tremendous amount of fine print. Like you have to work out every day. You got to follow our plan to the T. You got to check in every second. So you can have an offer like this, but there's got to be some very, very strong conditions. And then you got to figure out how am I going to enforce those conditions? And who's the type of person you're going to be attracting because of this? Like in my world, like people come in, I'm like,
if I don't have a guarantee, I'm out of here.
I'm like, ciao, gone. I don't give a shit. I don't need to work with you. I'm good. I'm not going to bend over backwards and try to guarantee stuff. You're a flake to begin with. I'm not talking about you specifically. I'm just talking about people in general who they're looking for something for nothing, or they're looking for a guarantee when they are the guarantee. Well, okay, think of it this way. Okay, personal trainer, I need a guarantee that this workout program is going to work. Okay, I guarantee that this program is going to work if you show up and work out. Well, I don't know if I have time for that, but it's like, what planet are you living on? So in the context of a coaching relationship where your client has to show up and do the work, I don't think it's ethical to offer a guarantee at all. So in our case with Healthpreneur, our guarantee is you're the guarantee. That's it. So if you fuck around and you don't show up, guess what's going to happen? Nothing. If you do show up and if you lean in and so forth and so on, then you'll get good results. And it is what it is, and if you're not a grown adult who understands something called personal responsibility, then you will always struggle. And this is the same for your clients if they're dealing with the same thing. So personally for me, if you want to make this kind of offer, go for it. If you can back that up for sure. And you got to make sure that you have some kind of conditions in place where this would be like a conditional guarantee. Because if they just showed up and the client did this and they're like, well, it didn't work. It's like, well, what did you do? And the person is like, well, I didn't do anything. And it's like, I want my money back. Well, you're screwed now as a business owner. You just got them in the system, in your program, you've worked with them and they haven't shown up. And now they're like 30, 60, 90 days in, they're like, this didn't work. And you're like, show me you did the workouts. And they're like, well, I didn't think I had to. So you got to be very clear on the front end about it. If this is a conditional guarantee, what those conditions are. So the only time that I would make this type of guarantee is if it's followed by a very specific condition or conditions, right? And whatever those might be, right? Like you must follow these specific workouts 4 days a week, and you must report on that. You have to post a picture every single week in the group, something to show that they're accountable. And then you just have to figure out how you're going to track that, because when you're dealing with one client, not a big issue. When you start dealing with dozens or hundreds of clients, then you have to have a pretty sophisticated machine on the back end. When I say machine, I mean like systems, people, processes, to make sure all this stuff is dialed in. And it's like, why go through all that hassle? Like Yes, you'll make a more compelling offer. Yes, you'll get more people coming in. And yes, you'll get more people you're refunding. And some people say, well, the greater volume of enrollments is going to offset the refunds. Like if you didn't have that kind of guarantee, maybe you have 50% of the enrollments, but much fewer refunds. But with this type of offer, you've got way more enrollments. And even if you have more refunds, it still makes sense. That's for you to decide, right? I personally don't want to run a business where I have to make these crazy guarantees in order for someone to see the value. And I understand that a lot of people are skeptical and they can't see behind the brick wall, which is obviously the payment gate of like, if I give you money, what's on the inside? So personally, I'm not a huge fan of that. I want to get to a point in any business where I'm so good that there is no question around guarantees. And with that said, you might start off where you are not the prize, right? Like you don't have the luxury of authority and social proof. So you might have to make an offer like this and then just eat the shit of what happens where, maybe you're starting to work out. Like if you've never worked with a client, guess what? You might have to work with a few for free to get some social proof, to get some street cred, if you will. As you go through your journey, you can certainly test out an offer like this and see what happens. But as you get to can you imagine The Rock? Whatever, like 400 million followers, whatever he's at right now. Can you imagine The Rock putting together a coaching program? Do you think he'd have to offer a guarantee? I don't think he would. Hey, this is the program. It's this amount of money. I don't fuck around. There's no guarantee. If you don't get results, it's your fault. People would be throwing money at him. Why? Because he has street cred. They see him as this celebrity or authority as it pertains to getting in shape, amongst other things. And therefore, the higher your status is, the less guarantee the less you have to even consider having a guarantee. People just throw money at you. And so the goal is to really climb what I call this pyramid of influence, where you start off as a generalist, specialist, authority, and celebrity. And that just takes time. So in that journey, maybe you can test an offer like this, but eventually you get to the pinnacle of your marketplace and you don't offer any guarantees. It's like, if you want to work with me, it's on my terms. And just so we're clear, if you're watching this for the first time, if you ever consider working with us, there is no guarantee, right? I want to know why bringing you on as a client would be good for us. I don't need your money. We're doing just fine. I want your results. It's okay to ask for a guarantee. Like, do you have a guarantee? It's like, no, like you're the guarantee. If there's a pushback on that, I'm like, let's be honest. When it comes to business, we have the track record. Do you? Oh yeah, I've got why are you not where you want to be with your business, right? So if you're helping someone with their fitness, when it comes to working out and helping people get in shape, I have the track record. Visibly, you don't. That's why you're here. So where do you think we should go from here? It's all about positioning. You are the prize never chases. And if you were the prize, you wouldn't have to offer these ridiculous guarantees in the first place. And I would encourage you to build a brand that people trust more, to the point where they can actually pay you and work with you with the understanding that, oh yeah, like I actually have to do some work. Because why would you want to work with people who are expecting miracles? And if they don't put in the work, or if it gets hard, they always have this exit. I would hate to work with people like that. That's just my personal philosophy. And so that is what I would, that's the advice I can provide for you on this one, but great question. Okay, I think this is the last one here. So Body Up 360 Fitness 7. This is great detail. Yuri, is there a specific content strategy and outreach process for the active aging community online, ages 50 to 70? Is this specific demographic harder than others? No, it doesn't matter. Like 50 to 70-year-olds are on Facebook, they're on Instagram, they're on TikTok, they're on YouTube. Don't buy into the nonsense that, older people are on the internet. My mom is 74. She's on the internet pretty much all the time. So is there a specific content strategy? Yeah, you just share your truth over and over and over again. You just keep sharing it, keep sharing it, keep sharing it, keep sharing it, keep sharing it. And when you're done that, you keep sharing it, you keep sharing it, you keep sharing it, and you just keep doing that until you're dead. And there you go. When people engage with your content, or they follow you, let's say on Instagram, you can just send them a quick DM. Hey, Deborah, thanks so much for the follow. Means a lot. By the way, what brings you into my world? Oh, I love your stuff. Oh, nice. Thanks. What specifically resonated with you most? Oh, I love this piece. Oh, awesome. Is that something you're currently focused on? We move into what we call the conversational close. And then you can turn a lot of those conversations into paying clients. It's actually a process we give our clients called the social authority selling system. It's incredibly effective and it's super chill. It's not salesy or douchey or anything. So are there demographics that are harder than others? Yeah, demographics that have no money, that have no pain, that have no desire to change. Yeah, but is that a demographic or is that a psychographic? Think about that, okay? So yeah, I would not go and try to build a business around helping 12-year-olds. Not a good idea. Why? Because they have no wherewithal to pay. So don't work with teenagers because they're not paying. You have to sell to parents, and that's always fun. Work with people who have a bit of money, right? So 30 plus, they're in pain. They want something solved. Either they have a very strong passion or desire for something that they're not currently meeting, or they want to get out of pain. Cool. And then again, are they willing to do what's needed to make the change? Not everyone is, right? There are some people who are 400 pounds and they think it's okay, whereas others are like 10 pounds overweight and it's the end of the world. So it's a psychographic, not a demographic that you really want to focus on. And that comes from you sharing your content and speaking to the types of people you want to attract. So perfect example is what I just shared with you. If I want to appeal to grown adults who understand the concept of personal responsibility, then me talking about how I don't offer a guarantee, and if you're looking for that, see you later, I'm completely repelling all of those people out there who are looking for everything for nothing. At the same time, I'm hopefully attracting those who are like, yeah, that makes a lot of sense. I feel the same way. And then those types of people show up in our coaching program as people who take responsibility, who do the work. And if they don't get results, they don't point the fingers at anyone else. They look in the mirror and point it at themselves, right? Because the reality is, like in our case, if our system has worked for thousands of people and it's also not worked for some people, how's that possible? It's the same coaching, same system, but different results. Yeah. What about school? Did everyone get the same grade? No, it's called a bell curve. Some people will always fail because of who they are. Because of who they are. They are not the type of person yet they need to be to have what it is that they say that they want. Got it? So there will always be people who are on that side, and there's always be winners. Winners always find a way to win. So it's about the psychographic. Who is the person, the type of person, the character traits that you want to attract into your world, and your content speaks to that. Because it doesn't matter how old they are, it's up here, right? You want to be talking to that person who's willing to commit to themselves, invest in their health, whether it's time, money, resources, whatever it is, and who see the value in doing stuff to be healthy, right? As opposed to someone who sits on the couch and is expecting the medical system to take care of them. It's a very different psychographic, even if they're 50 to 70 years old and dealing with the same problem. Make sense? Perfect. So anyways, those are 5 questions that have come across my table recently. I hope this has served you well. If you're looking for more healthcare marketing strategies, tips, and advice to grow your health coaching business, then make sure to subscribe to the channel. There's a button somewhere around here. And if you like this, I'm sure you'll love the next video right here. Let's dive deeper to help your business grow. Thanks for hanging out. See you there. Let's face it, social media can be a massive waste of time if you go down the wrong rabbit hole. That's why in today's video, I'm going to share with you the 3 social media marketing strategies I would recommend you avoid unless you want to hurt your online health business.